Hello, this is Mr. Stansbury. I'm going to take you through the notes on relations and functions. At the end of this, you should be able to say, I can tell if various relations are functions. Okay, so a relation between two sets is a collection of ordered pairs containing one object from each set. Okay, so that is a relation. A function is a relation in which no two ordered pairs have the same x-coordinate and different y coordinates. Okay, so the same x cannot have two different y's. Okay, the easiest way to figure out what these things are talking about here is taking a look at an example, I think. Which of the following relations are functions? So here's the relations, okay, and then which ones of these are functions? So if you'll remember, the big key on the last one there, it's a function as long as an x does not have two different y's. Okay, so what you want to do is basically go through and look at the x's, -2, 5, -7, and 0. None of those repeat. None of those are the same, so there's no way to have, excuse me, on this here, there's no way to have an x having two different y's. So this one indeed is a function. Okay, for this one here, -8, 6, 7, and 6. Aha, we have this is a 6, has a 6 in the x spot, and this has a 6 in the x spot. Now if you'll notice, the y is actually the same, so as long as the x has the same y, this is still a function. Okay, if this was a different y, if these two y's were not the same, then it would not be a function. Okay, for example, here's -1, -3, -5, -1. So here's an x that's -1, and here's an x that's -1. So this one is -1, 0, and this one's -1, 6. So an x cannot have two different y's. This is not a function. Okay. Now, there's a way to tell this also with a graph, and it's called the vertical line test. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this vertical line here, and I'm just going to run it through this function. And as long as there's not a spot where this vertical line hits 2 points on the same graph, then it's a function. So if you'll notice, this entire way, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1. There's never at any point, never at any time is there more than 1 point on this vertical line at the same time. So this would be a function. Now if you look at this one here, look, these have 2 points on the same vertical line. So really what this is saying, if let's say this is x is -3 and that's 2 and that's -2, we'd have this point here would be -3, 2, and this would be -3, -2. You would have the case where you'd have the same x has 2 different y's. So this one would not be a function. And then this one here, you'd run this through, and then here's the weird part about this, where this closed circle is, it's on that graph, and then it's going to jump to this open circle. So right there, it jumps up to that other circle, and now it's starting up on that graph. And now it jumps from this circle to that circle, so forth and so on. So this one also here is also a function. Okay, so this one, if you remember, was a function. This one is not a function, and this one is a function. And again, the reason for this not being a function is you have, as long as you have just 1 point, we've got multiple points here that have the same, have 2 points on the same vertical line. That means it's not a function. Okay? All right, that's all there is for relations and functions. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask. Thanks.